It was patent when Crosden put her on the ground that her hour was fast approaching. Yet even so, Gannaway wondered that such a man had burdened his single pack animal with the weight of a dog. The giant followed her to the edge of the Winnebago and watched her drink, scowling thoughtfully down at her. Then, because there was a sharp pitch up the bank which she had to climb, he lifted her carefully under his arm and brought her to the top. She thanked him with a wag of the tail and lift of the ears. Then she went slowly off through the grass. But Gannaway felt a wonder that deepened every minute. After all, what he had seen was not much more than any humane man would have done for a dog in the terrier's condition, but it seemed as absurd to attribute humanity to the giant as to attribute mercy to a mountain lion or charity to a grizzly. Moreover, it seemed to the observer that the care which the big fellow lavished upon the dog was not the spontaneous result of emotion, but rather the effect of carefully considered plans, as if, for instance, he had been offered a very great reward for bringing the bitch safely across the mountains. "She's a fine specimen," said Gannaway. The brute glanced sourly across at him. "Is she?" said he offensively, and continued to watch the maneuverings of the terrier with a gloomy eye. Now Gannaway was no expert in bull terriers, but he knew all animals well enough, and he knew not only dog standards in general, but something of the special type which the bull terrier breeder has in his eye. Now Gannaway scanned the bitch again carefully. He saw her from the front and the rear, the side and the back, and he found nothing against her. Here were legs splendidly straight and huge in bone, a great chest, a pair of shoulders to glad the eye with their cleanness and their fine muscles, a neck neither too long nor too short, and not covered with loose skin. There was her tail, too, set on low, thick at the butt, tapering beautifully, looking as straight as a string, with a spring set in the base of it. But perhaps the head was at fault. No, for it was a glorious head, with little triangular black eyes and a fill-up clear to the eyes like the back of a man's hand. "By heavens," said Gannaway, "if that bitch hasn't championship stuff in her, I'm a fool." "You ain't the only fool in the world," said the other. He waited, glowering, expecting the other to take up the insult, but when Gannaway remained calm, the giant consented to add, "But she's a champion right enough." Gannaway was much intrigued. Good bull terriers do not grow on every bush in these degenerate days, and one does not expect a champion to approach her hour to litter among the bleak heights of the San Jacinto Mountains and expose several $100s worth of blind puppyhood to the tender mercies of a winter gale. "Where did she win, and what's her name?" he asked. The giant turned his back. "It's time to move, Nell. Come here, Nell." She came obediently, trotting with a heavy step, and stood before him waiting for further orders, so that the heart of Gannaway was warmed in spite of the insolence of the big man. However, at this moment, the other finished his cigarette, and he half turned to ask, "Got other makings?" "No," said Gannaway, "that's the last." "All right," said the giant. "I'll take pipe tobacco then." "I'm out of that, too. Not a crumb of it left." The big fellow stared, incredulous, but there was a world of honesty in the steady blue eyes of Gannaway, and Crosden burst out with an enormous oath. "But," he growled, "you ain't been giving away your last smoke." "I can get on. I've gone without it before," said Gannaway. The giant looked helplessly about him as though he strove to find an explanation in the wind and sun and hard rocks around him, but discovered no way of interpreting such generosity as this. Then another thought struggled into his eyes, a conclusion against which he fought hard, but which persisted in spite of him. "Why, hell, man," he exclaimed suddenly, "you must be white." And he glared at Gannaway mutely, like another Balboa silent on a peak in Darien, as though indeed this